Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, the YouTube channel, and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. This coming Monday is Raw from Chicago. It should be, in all likelihood, one of the most interesting editions of Raw in a very long time. I got a lot of questions here from spring.me/Aaron Rift regarding Raw, so let's get started here and talk about this in detail. Edswoggle asked me about Aaron Paul hosting Raw on Monday and the possibility of the fans hijacking his segment and chanting for CM Punk. Let me talk about the fans hijacking Raw in general. First off, it's almost certain that the fans are going to be very vocal this Monday, whether CM Punk shows up or not. There's even a Twitter account, Chicago Raw Crowd, that is rallying fans up to rebel and go crazy and let their voices be heard. Now, regarding Aaron Paul, I am fine with the fans chanting and doing all that crazy stuff, but Aaron Paul has no control over the situation. And furthermore, Aaron Paul is just a badass in general. And if you guys chant CM Punk for Aaron Paul, I'm disowning you fellas. But regarding the other people on the show, I am fine with chants of same old shit when Batista's out there. That's fine, even though Batista doesn't have all that much control over the situation. The bottom line is you're unhappy about CM Punk being gone, and that is CM Punk's decision. WWE wants CM Punk back. They didn't want him to leave. So chanting for CM Punk over and over again is only going to do so much. But if you want to chant same old shit when Triple H is out there, if you want to turn your back away from the ring when Triple H is out there, that's a great idea. That's fine. Rebel against authority. But chanting for CM Punk during a Bray Wyatt match, for example, or a guy who has no control over what's going on, that's unfair to that person, and it doesn't accomplish anything. You are chanting for CM Punk, and believe me, WWE would love to have CM Punk on Raw, and for all we know, CM Punk might end up being there. But regardless of what you do, you're still buying a ticket to Raw, and you're still putting money in WWE's pocket. I'll say this again, I've said it before. If you are not happy with the direction of WWE, the best way that you can tell WWE how you feel is not spending money on the product. WWE will know that they need to change if their business is suffering. Look at WCW 1999. You had the finger poke of doom. You had one bad booking decision after another. You had a similar situation where the younger guys weren't getting the big push, and the same guys were there on top, and WCW business went down the toilet. With WWE today, it's a different situation. WWE is still selling out arenas. WrestleMania is going to do big business. The WWE network will, in all certainty, unless they continue having technical problems, will do good business as well. WWE continues to make a profit. So the bottom line is, regardless of what you chant, WWE is going to continue doing what they think is best for business. And if they're making money, they're going to keep doing what they think is best for business. But you bought a ticket, so go there, have fun, chant for the underdogs, but try not to disrespect the people that don't deserve it and have no control over the situation. That's all I ask. Make the wrestling fans around the world look good. Don't make them look foolish. That's all I got to say about that. So let's move on now to some other topics here. And this one comes from Cactus Vela. Batista comes out to CM Punk's music this Monday in Chicago. What do you think? But seriously, I'm predicting Daniel Bryan comes out at the conclusion of the WrestleMania main event and challenges and beats the winner for the title, like Hogan with Hart and Yokozuna. Your thoughts? I would actually love to see WWE play up on the CM Punk situation. I don't know if they will, but I would love Batista to come out there and just rip into CM Punk and call him a little bitch and call him a coward for not being there. That would make him the most awesome heel ever. Think back to when Shawn Michaels did that promo in Montreal when he teased Bret Hart coming out, and Bret Hart did not come out. That was one of the coolest things ever. And WWE could do something like that, or have Bad News Barrett come out to CM Punk's music and say, "I'm afraid I've got some bad news." That would be tremendous. I don't know if they're going to do that. They may not want to risk offending CM Punk. CM Punk might get pissed off even more if they did something like that. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I would love to see it, and it would be a great way to stick it to the Chicago fans. And once again, just real quick, going back to the other topic, a good way to protest against WWE, and I'm perfectly fine with protesting, but when you're making noise, you're making the show more entertaining, and WWE is not concerned if you're making noise. WWE is concerned if you're not making noise. If you're quiet and the place is dead, that's a bad sign. But if you're buying tickets to the show and you're making a lot of noise, WWE sees that as you are having a good time and you're enjoying the show. So, once again, chant whatever you want to chant, but just be respectful and keep in mind that if you really want to make a difference, you need to either stop watching or stop spending money on the product. All right, moving on here. From John Chana. Because I don't think you have had a TNA question in a while, what is your general opinion on MVP and his time in TNA at the moment, and would you prefer to see him in WWE? Well, I think I've talked about MVP before when he first came in, but I'll mention in general that I like MVP's role in TNA. I think he's doing a good job, and overall, I think TNA has been improving. I think that the recent shows in the UK have been very good. I think that they're pushing Samoa Joe, and I'm cool with that. I'm glad that he's getting a push again, and they're focusing on some young talent like the Wolves. No real complaints about TNA right now. I think that the shows looked major league when there's actually people in the building, and I'm fine with them taping in advance as long as the shows are good and you have the big crowds. So no real issues with TNA at the moment. I think they're doing the best they can, and as long as they continue to focus on new talent and try to get new people over, that's really all you can ask from them at this point. All right, next one comes from MayuMan123. Why is Batista hated so much? I don't get it. At first everybody's crazy about his return, and now he gets booed out of every arena. Well, the reason he's hated is because he's a guy that came back and was thrusted right into the main event spotlight and essentially taking a spot from Daniel Bryan, a guy who's been around, working the full year. Batista's a guy who was gone for several years. He comes back and he's immediately in the main event at WrestleMania when a lot of fans feel it should be Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania. So, that's the main reason. And, going back to earlier, Batista doesn't really have a lot of control over it, and I don't think Batista was expecting to get this much heat coming back, and I honestly didn't see it either. I thought when Batista came back, he would be very over at the Royal Rumble, and I think if he came back as a surprise, the fans would have reacted huge to him. The fact that he was announced in advance and then Daniel Bryan wasn't part of the Rumble, Batista was just in a bad situation that he had no control over. So, Batista should just go with it. Be a heel and say what's on his mind and let his frustrations out. I think Batista does a great job as a heel, so I think that that's the right direction to go at this point. There's no point in trying to keep him as a babyface. And, I think it'll make for some very entertaining television with Batista as a heel and just playing off the fans that don't like him and the Batista chants and all that stuff. All right, this one comes from Dave451985. Can you ever see the Divas division becoming legitimate or even relevant anytime soon? As much as I would like to say yes, that it will at some point, I think that in all likelihood, the Divas division will continue to mainly be filler and mainly be about the eye candy and selling calendars and the women looking pretty. I don't think that the wrestling is a priority with the Divas division, and I don't think it's going to change. I would like to see it change. I would like to see more women that could wrestle and compete at a similar level as the men, but realistically, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, this next one comes from Armada88. Hey Aaron, do you have any idea why the crowd hijacked the Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns match on Raw this past Monday? I felt they had a good match and it was something fresh to see for the match of the night. Well, short answer is the fans are dumb, but I'm just kidding about that. I think honestly the fans were just tired, and that's a problem with the 3-hour Raw. I think that no matter how good a show is, after 3 hours, the fans are going to start and get burned out. And I think that that was the case here, where the fans were just tired, and it was a long show, and they just start chanting things to keep themselves entertained. I mean, I think that that was all there was to it, and I don't really think it was fair to those guys because Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns put on a tremendous performance along with the other guys at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and it was interesting how the crowd reacted to this, but it is what it is, and I just chalk it up to the fans being burned out. All right, one more question here from Brock and Punk 91. Hey Aaron, what do you think should be the stipulation for Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30? For me, it should be a no-holds-barred match. Please answer in video. Well, on one hand, I like the idea of just a regular match because I don't think you need a stipulation. And you can do stuff like tease a count out that might end the Undertaker's streak. But on the other hand, I think in the case of Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, fans are going to expect a brawl and them to just go crazy. So it might be best to make it a no DQ match where they can fight in the crowd and just fight all over the arena. So I think that for this match, you're best off making it no holds barred and letting them, use weapons and do all that stuff. And they might need that too. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about can Brock Lesnar and Undertaker have a match as good as or even close to some of the Shawn Michaels and Triple H matches. And, they might need all the gimmicks they can get. And, having chairs and ladders and tables and anything around the ringside to help enhance the match. So, yeah, I think it's best that they do a no-holds-barred match. I think that would be something good for WrestleMania. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. If you haven't already, subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Tell a friend, share this video on Facebook and Twitter. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com, and I'll be back next Tuesday for a post-Chicago Raw edition of NoDQ&A video.